Today, my topic is U.S. universities should hire more Chinese students as a tutor for the mathematics. According to the U.S. News at 2013, students from China, Indian, and South Korean has made up 49% of the total number of international students in the United States. Especially the number of Chinese students enrolled in U.S. college and universities increased by the 21% in total of almost 235,000 students. It is also not hard to see a Chinese student at our campus, such as me. Chinese students have already become a significant part of the universities in the United States. On the other hand, most of them might be the first time leave their parents. Thus, they have to face and try to conquer the different difficulties of the coming the new country and the different work environment. Today, I will talk about the difficulties of the Chinese student in the United States and the solution of it. I won't talk about discrimination or cultural shock because they are too hard to define. I will talk about two fundamental issues: language and finance. The language and finance are two fundamental issues for Chinese students to live in the US. The first problem is not hard to understand. Different from India, English is not an official language in China. Also, the two language systems are very different. To illustrate, let's look at this picture, the figure 1. This is the Chinese word rich. It looks very different from the English word rich because Chinese is a symbolic language. There are few connections between the two language systems, so it takes Chinese students a lot of effort to learn English. Though they are now in the United States, it's hard for them to make new friends or communicate with others. A communication course like what I'm taking now, might be the only opportunity for Chinese students to speak English for more than 10 minutes. Due to the lack of practice, though Chinese students can read and understand those English textbooks, they don't know the manner to communicate with others. Just as the way I'm speaking now, you still can hear my accent. Another problem is finance and living expense. This might be hard for the American student to understand. The financial problem of China was mainly caused by the expensive tuition and work restrictions. According to the New York Times at 2013, international students generally pay the tuition 3 times as much as in-state students, but very few international students have received any scholarship. Most universities absorb Chinese students to increase their revenue because Chinese parents value education as the most important things in their children's life. According to U.S. News at 2013, students from abroad added approximately $24 billion to the U.S. economy. However, those customers were restricted on working in the United States. According to the U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Service at 2014, students in F1 visa cannot work off campus and may accept on-campus employment subject to certain conditions and restrictions. Thus, most Chinese students have no living income at all. The number of the on-campus positions was so limited that a lot of American students also try hard to get the opportunities. It's nearly impossible for Chinese students to compete with the American student on normal job openings because the communication itself already a weakness of the Chinese student. Actually, there is a perfect solution which can help Chinese students with a language problem and financial problem stimulus. Though Chinese students cannot work off campus, universities can hire the Chinese student as a math tutor. According to the Canway 2014, Chinese students began to learn their math facts at very early age. They were taught about multiplication when they were 7 years old. To further illustrate, let's look at this problem at the figure 2. This is an internal problem. I learned this during my high school in China. Most of my peers can solve this problem in 10 minutes when we were in high school students. On the other hand, it is difficult to most of my classmates in the undergraduate calculus class. Thus, due to the difference between two education systems, most Chinese students have an expertise in the mathematics, so they are eligible to the math tutor in the U.S. universities. What's more, those tutoring lessons provide the Chinese student an opportunity to speak English and practice their communication skills. They can meet and communicate with different Americans during the lessons. The lesson might also be start of the friendship between the Chinese tutor and his American students. Out of the lesson, they can hang out together and do some other interesting things. The lessons can be bridged to two different cultures to help the Chinese student adapt the life in the United States. It can also be a marketing tools to attract more Chinese students to apply for the universities. Now you have some understanding of what kind of difficulties that Chinese students are facing. Now you know why I ask U.S. universities to hire more Chinese students as a math tutors. I'm not asking university to lower the tuition or grant more scholarship in expense of their own profit. I'm just asking to establish a center where Chinese students can take advantage of their own expertise in the mathematics to help their peers. I'm just asking build a bridge between two different cultures so that Chinese students can be absorbed into the American society. It's beneficial to the both sides. Also, to you, to my dear audience, please be kind to the Chinese students. They are really willing to make friends with Americans, but just don't know how to say their feelings out loudly and clearly. Thank you. This is my presentation.